Hello, and today we are doing an FPL review of game week number 18 and also a quick little team selection video for that amazing game week 19 Boxing Day round of fixtures, which it seems like for some odd reason is going to be going ahead. I do not believe it, but it is, so we'll take it. Now, it's weird. The Premier League have announced that they don't want a circuit break. Basically, they want to keep on going if it's safe to do so. But the thing that's confusing is, it feels like for many clubs, it's not safe to do so. So we've just got to see what the news is, and I hope there's not more last-minute postponements, even though they've said they're going to carry on with games. It's like, well, COVID can only go so far. But anyway, that's for the future. What we're doing today is a review of game week 18. In a very good game week, there was only dreaded 4 matches, so we actually did well in this, difficult circumstance. So if you do go on to enjoy it, smash a like on the video. Please comment scores down below in game week 18. It was a tough game week for a lot of people, and I will get into that because it wasn't easy for me, right? It wasn't easy for me. We talked about it briefly on my game week 18 preview, which was that hour-long video where I was just ranting about what transfer do I make. And then we brought in, obviously, we'd already done, before I made that video, we'd done the Watkins transfer in the morning, thinking, oh yeah, well, they're playing today, that's pretty last minute. But no, not last minute enough, because the game that was supposed to be a 1:30 deadline, I should have just done it a couple of hours later, but at 1:10 maybe, or even earlier maybe, at 10 to 1, I wasn't on Twitter, but I suddenly see up, it says Villa is postponed. So, yeah, that really didn't help my Watkins transfer in. That's just unfortunate. Pookie came out, Watkins went in. I mentioned last week how I thought Pookie was my worst transfer of all time. I'm actually going to retract that statement. It was Watkins, because he's not had a fixture since I've owned him, if that makes sense. But no, it wasn't all bad, because we wanted to at least make another transfer to make a mark, basically, on this game week 18. I knew that there was not going to be many points around, so we just wanted to get an exciting player in. And we did sell Jared Bowen. We brought in Bukayo Saka. Now, whether you say that's a bad decision, I don't know. Time will tell at the end of the day. I might have to rush Bowen back in, or might have to get Antonio. Because look, now that the Premier League have said their fixtures will be, trying to be played, and West Ham don't really have the COVID issues, it's more their opposition recent weeks have had that. So, look, it wasn't maybe a brilliant decision, but at least for the -4 this week, it did help me. Saka, my man Saka, what a star boy. He's an absolute legend. What a nice little contribution. Lovely goal. I mean, obviously, he should have more, and he just never quite, as Let's Talk FPL Andy puts it perfectly, he never quite takes that leap. He never quite gets that massive haul that we all want. But at the end of the day, it's a return, and we're very happy with that, because we were thinking about getting Phil Foden, and, we didn't do it. Phil Foden didn't play. All those managers that transferred in Foden this week will be fuming. And yeah, we held Bernardo Silva, but yeah, I think we've got to be patient with him. But ultimately, yeah, a really interesting game week 18 that we're going to pick through the bones of now. But yeah, as I said, do comment your score from game week 18 and what are your thoughts going ahead of another game week 19, where, look, any game could get called off. Do not make your transfers. Don't make the same mistake I made last week of doing it on the morning. That's not even early enough. Do it the last minute of the deadline, basically. Do it at, if it's a 11 o'clock deadline, do it 10:59. I mean, I say that. I did make the Saka transfer. So, yeah, the thing was, what I was basically, complaining about was that I just had no clue what to do for that second transfer. Because I kind of wanted to bring in someone. I didn't really want, because the situation I had was, going into game week 18, I actually had a full 11 of players. One of those 11, unfortunately, was Manquillo, and of course, another was Douglas Luiz. But I was happy with that. And then, with the news of Villa's postponement, and me bringing in Watkins, it was kind of like, well, okay, I've replaced a player that doesn't play in Pookie, but then I've also brought in, inadvertently, another player who doesn't play, and that wasn't my doing, and that's Douglas Luiz. So I actually still had the problem of, I've only got 10 players to play and no bench. Obviously, no bench wasn't an issue this week because basically no one had a bench. And it's funny how we're all saying, over the Christmas period, you need to have a strong bench. And now people are saying, over this Christmas period, you need to have a good 11 because no one's got the fixtures for a strong bench. So it's really, really weird. And Big at the back has been really declining in the last few, months, but the last couple of game weeks, it's come back to the fore and really did show this week with that back four of James, Trent, Cancelo and Rudiger. Love that. Full house, full sweep. 6 from James, 5 from Rudiger. Okay, we'll take that clean sheet. Look, recently, right, Alonso's been pretty poor and Rudiger's been really good, so you're going to have swings and roundabouts. This week, Alonso got the bonuses, but Rudiger's been so good. He's been that consistent, reliable player playing every week, and he's actually got so much attacking threat now, Rudiger, which is really good to see. Whereas Alonso, I feel like if people own Alonso right now, they'll be looking to sell. Obviously, I want to sell Rudiger because I still think James is the better asset, but obviously, Chelsea defence has been good across the season. Last couple of game weeks, though, they've been conceding goals and the Chelsea fixtures are making a turn for the worse very soon. So I am probably going to sell Rudiger, and that will be in a few game weeks' time. But I think there's a couple of game weeks now to get the most out of them in decent enough fixtures. But it's interesting they face Villa because Villa is one of the teams which probably, of all the teams this game week, probably will be the most unlikely to play. I mean, I can't predict it because of what the Premier League has said. They basically said at 13 players, as long as they've got 13 players, they can play, right? So it depends how bad the situation is at Villa. But people are saying Villa obviously now just got COVID outbreak, hence the Burnley game called off. That would be a worry, and therefore I have not planned ahead. Well, you can't plan ahead for COVID, but I've not put myself in a decent situation with this Villa game because the ideal scenario is, right, you want that Chelsea double up for a little bit longer. Fair enough. Most people will own him. Will own those two Chelsea defenders, whether that's Alonso and James, Rudiger and James, and maybe even Rudiger and Mendy, or James and Mendy. But the point is, then at least you've got, okay, well, hopefully most fixtures should go ahead. So then you've got 2 players on the bench you can come on if need be for those Chelsea defenders. So then most people were like, oh yeah, I'll sell Watkins because now I've foolishly brought him in. I'm, not going to want him if Villa have not got games. But obviously, for those people, they probably did just take the L. I'm not going to lie. People that brought in Watkins this week and he didn't obviously have a fixture, they're like, well, I'm not going to take another transfer to bring him out again. That's just a waste. So I kind of hoped and prayed that Villa would get fixtures back again, and that's the situation I'm in. So I've actually got from that game, unfortunately, I already had a Villa midfielder in Doug Luiz, and now I've got another Villa attacker in Watkins. So it means that actually, even if the Villa game was called off, my 3 subs on the bench don't actually help me because I've got 4 Villa Villa and Chelsea players and not 3. And also the other thing you've got to say is my bench. In terms of that, well, you've got Manquillo, you've got Josh King, and you've got I'm trying to think of the other one. You've got as you can see here on the bench, we've got the legend. That is, of course, Manquillo. Yeah, so Manquillo, Douglas Luiz, King, and then obviously Watkins is the one that's fighting for his place. So it's a problem because arguably you'd say, well, what are we going to do about that? The argument is, should we just take the L or should we just bring in someone that's going to replace that third sub, if that makes sense? So it's a difficult conundrum, but look, we've got to look ahead a little bit. We've got to think, try and push on from this point. We've got to forget about that absolute nightmare of a game week, really. But I think it's good news with the Premier League, right? In terms of FPL, whether you think ethically is a good decision, I don't really support it because I think, Omicron is getting really, really bad now, and I don't want to say it now, but it's getting to such high levels. Is there a chance of a lockdown? I don't even know, but the point I'm saying is it doesn't seem to be improving, and although there are less deaths, there are more cases and more people have to isolate. So it's well, are people going to be able to go out, go to work / go to Christmas get-togethers? I just don't know if they will. And that's the thing. If we go out to these Christmas things, then literally how are people going to go back to work and back to school in January? I honestly do not know. So, yeah, I'm getting a bit into the COVID side rather than the FPL side, but it is important to recognise. So the Premier League have said the games will go ahead, which I think is weird, but that's the way they've done it, and it will be continuing. We're safe, of course, is what they said. So let's just say all teams are affected. Well, we're safe. Of course, you'd like to see all the fixtures from a Premier League's point of view because they don't want to lose the money. But if there's no safety, then they're not going to play the games, you'd imagine. It would be last-minute postponements, as always. And it frustrates me that they just don't tell us sooner. Like, I get that there's a bit of like, well, you know, you got to keep the players and their dignity and their, you know, privacy kept, right? Fair enough. But you're not naming individual players who are postponed, who are unavailable. You just say, oh, well, if there's too many players, I get that you're doing a lot of late COVID tests and they'll probably get results quite late on, but just either do the test earlier, or if you are going to wait on results, then at least say there's a chance that it might go off, rather than saying nothing and then we assume that there's a fixture, right? So this is what I'm saying, but maybe that's just something that can't be really helped. The point I'm saying is, Game Week 18, we are going to review it, and the performance, and then obviously what my transfer plans are going into Game Week 19. So, yeah, obviously I said with the Premier League, the 13 and the outfield and the keeper is enough to apparently avoid the postponement. And the Mike Keegan as well, who said it on Twitter, basically said, should fixtures be less than that, the under-21s who have first-team experience will probably have to step in. And therefore, the chief medic might actually ask about injured players. So it's very interesting. That does tell me that these games are going to go ahead whatever, despite COVID cases. But there is an element of it where it's like, well, how far can they go? Can they really throw in all those, you know, youngsters? And there's an element where teams will get COVID cases throughout, and they might just have to postpone the fixture altogether. So it's not like this Premier League meeting that they had this afternoon has meant that postponement's not a thing anymore. They could easily still postpone, and that they can make last-minute changes. This is not locked in, but it's what they're proposing. So, yeah, I would argue that we should take that with a pinch of salt, but we should also think, well, that's a good chance of matches going ahead. Therefore, we should still plan ahead with our transfers. I know it's easy to just like throw in the towel and say, I'm just going to take it week by week and don't care about this game because it's not even going to get me any matches. Fair enough, right? That is what a lot of FPL managers have had to kind of be positive in through the face of adversity. But you've got to stay strong. You've got to be positive, and eventually things will get back to normal. And the way things are looking up, Ben Crellin, the absolute legend, the spreadsheet guy, of course, who does all the fixtures and some of the possible rearrangements, he has looked at the game week 22 and looked at the fact that could be a double game week. What people thought would happen was that they'd postpone the game week 20 fixtures and allow, you know, those players to have the Boxing Day games and then a few days in between, because I think the game week 20 games were supposed to be in the midweek, which is just such a quick turnaround. And then maybe they were thinking, well, games that weren't, you know, being played, games that were behind in terms of the postponements, they could fit into parts of the end of game week 19. I don't know. The argument was, though, postpone 20 and then maybe play 21 again. However, remember the Africa Cup of Nations, right? And all of this, that has to come around very soon. And, you know, I've planned my transfers towards that. I haven't got many players, apart from obviously Mohamed Salah, that's going to that. But is he going to go? Is it even going to be on, right? Now, if it is on, I think Salah, there's no choice Liverpool have to let him go. It's going to be a massive miss, but we could spread funds around, not just throughout the whole team, but through similar priced players, the likes of Heung-min Son. That's one to think about. Or Harry Kane, if we invest money in the attacking line rather than in midfield. Or equally, right, with the fixtures and the double game weeks that could come, Cristiano Ronaldo, I know I sold him, right? I sold him for Lacazette because we didn't know the uncertainty with United, but now there's a clearer picture of what COVID's going to happen, I think, in terms of Premier League matches. So, is Ronaldo worth investing? I don't know, it's a difficult one, but ultimately, right, the short of it is, this is good news. It's good news for FPL. Maybe it's not good news for football, because you'd argue, and maybe just society in general, because this might actually increase the COVID cases with, you know, as far as I know, fans still going to stadiums, and look, they've got a lot of regulations. They've got to now show a level of double jab. They've got to show a COVID pass or whatever, right? There's a lot of regulations now that is very stringent. But my argument would be, play them behind closed doors until we get back to a bit more safety, and then you can bring the fans back in. That's just my opinion. Obviously, it still affects the players when the games are behind closed doors, but if they're going to really press on and say, no, we have to continue playing, then at least you'll say, okay, fair enough. Is fans a necessity? Obviously, it's a luxury. We know from last season it is, but it might just be aggravating the problem. I'm not sure. But anyway, I need to get into my Gameweek 18 review, really, don't I? I've just waffled on about COVID, but I think it's important to address, this kind of thing, really. So, I think it's very clear to say that in Gameweek number 18, we had a very strong week. 63 points, very, very happy with that. And look, Thomas Frank, I think he'd be one of the managers that probably would wanted all the games to be postponed, because I think Chelsea have had a few recent positive COVID tests. Jorginho is one of them. But I think we can continue as things stand, and I think there's a few games that might still be postponed. But obviously it's good to look beyond Game Week 19. So, yeah, with Game Week 18, right, Ramsdale in goal, 2 points. Ramsdale is the best goalie this season. I don't care what you say, right? He's the perfect replacement from last season's FPL goalkeeper legend of Emi Martinez. And 2 points, look, it's not ideal, right? But he didn't have a lot to do in the game. On another day, when Ben White doesn't make that rash decision, that's a clean sheet for Ramsdale. So, not too fussed. He's done a lot for me since I've owned him. James, 6-pointer. Look, Chelsea were really poor in attackingly, but another clean sheet. The double up does its bits, really. And Rudiger, once again, with a clean sheet, but 5 points does get booked. We're not going to complain too much about that. I mean, to be fair, to get 63 points from 4 matches and from 10 players, I am pretty buzzing with that, to be fair. I think most managers who scored more than 55 points this week should be pretty happy. I think a lot of people had captaincy nightmares. I've talked about Foden. Bringing him in was a bit of a nightmare, and obviously, if you didn't captain Salah this week, it was for one time the right one to go against him. But yeah, 63 game week points. Overall points, I'm now sitting at 1,091, which is not bad. But overall rank is getting closer to where we want to go. Our goal this season is 100k, and we're sitting at 462,460. And we are looking at a league code, of course. That is, of course, FPL Yellow Army. And do check Instagram, Roberto_the_pro for announce of each of the different managers of the month. I've now gone up to 4th in my own league. And I seem to have made a mistake, I'll admit, on my post about the December manager of the month, because when I looked at it, right, sorry, not December, November, obviously December's not over yet, it said at the time that it was Ashley Nugent from FPL Juice, Eze does it, but now it says that it was General Lee. But that's, I think, a bit biasy, because it says here, last updated Thursday the 2nd of December, right? But the way I look at it was, I think it was in between a game week, and it ended on the Thursday, because it was midweek fixtures, and then obviously the Tuesday was the last day of November. So therefore, technically, right, I think still the dub is for Eze Does It, because I think he was highest when I refreshed it, and it was like the morning of the 1st of December. But because it's mid-game week, they're probably thinking, oh, well, it counts manager of the month by the end of that game week. So, yeah, it says there, General Lee, he had a very decent score in December of, 254 points. But I would argue that it still was a dub for Ashley. So, yeah, it is what it is, right? Anyway, moving on. Looking back at our team for Game Week 18, we are so happy with Trent, right? 7 points. That guy is a legend. He just is a legend. Like, you just can't deny it. I don't know how he does it. Every week, he's a bonus points magnet. He does what he wants. He's just so good. I mean, I think on the whole, you cannot complain with his game week. Like, I've seen a lot of people in the 70s, most people in the 40s and 50s, but to be in the 60s, I'm very happy with, right? Joao Cancelo, look, legend, right? Did I thought about the captaincy? Maybe I thought about it, but not really. I don't like captaining defenders. However, what a legend. And those people that captain Foden and then vice-captain Cancelo, extremely jammy. And I wouldn't advise that most weeks, because with COVID, it's not a good decision to captain and vice-captain from the same team. But anyway, that's what people did. And fair play to you that brought in Martinelli. I'll just say that now, because look, I thought about it. I went with Saka, still got the return. But Martinelli, unbelievable. Now, the reason that put me off that was the fact that Martinelli, I just don't think has as nailed as Saka. And Saka has been actually really good recently. Martinelli was in good form, but he's battling for that place with Smith Rowe, and it turns out that Smith Rowe comes off the bench and gets another jammy return. Rafinha's been so jammy in terms of his penalty goals. But anyway, in terms of Saka, very happy with him. But Cancelo, you can't like say this guy has not deserved it. He's been so good for so many seasons and just not got the attacking returns. But now he's got it in big time. And goal, assist, clean sheet, 3 bonus points, 18 points. amazing game week if you captained him. Now, Saka, 7 points, we will take that. A goal as he comes in for Bowen. All right, I might want Bowen back. I'll probably say Antonio's the better pick. But look, the -4 hit, right? I was looking for a goal. I got the goal. And it might have been deflected, but Saka did so many positive things in that game. And I'm still happy to own him going into Arsenal's decent enough fixtures. Salah captaincy, this is a shocker, right? I don't know how this happens. He blanked for once. Doesn't often happen. But ultimately, what can you do, right? Spurs were good in that game, to be fair to them. Liverpool were good, but it's just uncharacteristically quiet from Mo Salah. However, how many blanks is it going to take for people to not captain Salah? And I've been punished by this, by not captaining him against United in game week 9, I do believe. So, look, you got to think he's worth most captaincies, most weeks, and especially this week, Leeds at home. You just got to do it. Jota 7-pointer. Jota, he's doing well. He's, for a small guy, very good at his headering and a bit of a legend in that department. Bernardo Silva, 2 points. Very disappointing, right? It's just like one of those things. He's just, unfortunately, gone off a cliff a little bit with his form. Another yellow card, another blank, but he was playing a bit deeper, then you can't really say much more than that. He will hopefully be a bit better in the next match against Leicester City, where I think Leicester have been defensively quite poor. Lacazette, 5-pointer. Look, this is what you love to see, right? He could have had more, of course, but he gets another successive return in my team after that assist against West Ham. Yeah, okay, he missed the West Ham penalty, but look, he's still getting returns, he's still getting involved, and he's actually playing quite well at the minute. So I think his place is safe with Aubameyang, just, disciplinary record, not quite very good. And Watkins, look, he was my last player because he was supposed to be also subbed out for Manquillo, as you can see there, 0 points. But it turns out Manquillo has now picked up an illness. Brilliant. So I was literally looking for that City game. I was like, yeah, I'll get probably a -1 point, but at least I'll have a playing player. But Watkins, turns out Watkins stayed in the team because Manquillo didn't actually play. And then obviously you got King and Douglas Luiz on the bench as well as Foster there. So yeah, very happy with that game week. What a gaming rank, by the way. 667,194. And that has put me with 1,091 points. So that means I've gone up by a very decent amount this game week, to be fair. I don't always do this. Like last week, I had a green arrow, and I've done another green arrow. It's a 4th green arrow in a row, which I'm so happy with. But it's just the fact that I've actually gone up by a decent amount. It's not just a green arrow. It's a green arrow by 77,213. So absolutely loving that from Backman and Robin. And once again, we get the dub in the England FPL Cup. We will take that. We scored 24 points above average this week. And look, 3 points better off than last week. 7 points on the bounce. 2 weeks in a row for Diogo Jota. And we just want to talk about the Watkins transfer in, basically. So, yeah, it is what it is. Watkins, look, going forward, if Villa have to those games against, Chelsea and United, he can score against them. We saw that last season from Watkins. But I will think that maybe one of the Villa players have got to go, really, because of their doubts. I mean, the Chelsea game might go ahead, I don't know. But Cancelo, absolute hero this week. What a guy. And I kind of wanted to give a vice-captaincy to a player playing on Saturday and then captain someone on Sunday, because then if all the Sunday's games were called off, then at least I had Lacazette to get me the 10 points. But look, 5 points is fine. Salah, though, 4.7 million people captaining him. Unbelievable. And we expect better, but I think our expectations are just unrealistic, right? He's been so amazing. For 18 game weeks, he's only blanked in 2 of them, so you can't really say he's disgraced us too much, but it's just we didn't expect it. And I can also say that with the money I've spent, right, you'd argue Bowen to Saka is actually not that bad because it's saving more money, right? I already had money in the bank. I could have done Douglas Luiz to Saka, but I kept Douglas Luiz just because I think why have a player that's better in terms of your midfield, and then you don't regret benching them, basically, and at least Douglas Luiz can be that bench fodder. And it also means I've got the money to then upgrade someone else. So maybe Josh King this week. If Watford don't play against Wolves, Josh King to Antonio ahead of Southampton, that could be decent. But look, games might not even happen on Boxing Day. However, what the Premier League have said is it looks like they will. It's just that they need to sort out this COVID mess. So, yeah, 4th green arrow in a row. Absolutely love it. Top 700k gaming rank. as I mentioned previously. And yeah, won my game in the England FPL Cup against a very amateurish, I think is the word, FPL team from Amelia Jaggard. I think she's a Man City fan or something, and look, she's not made a transfer all season. I mean, I noticed she perma-captained Robertson, which is funny this week. Obviously, sent off, but also goal and assist. So, look, she wasn't very near what I scored. 59, obviously, with the -4 in consideration, but I scored much more than what she scored, and she did get, in the end, 38 points, I think it was. So, look, easy dub, really, but amazing week for me. I'm happy with 63. And, yeah, we move on to Game Week 19 then, people. Game Week 19, what are we saying for this one? Look, ultimately, right, I'm very happy with my team. But, as I mentioned earlier, the issue of the Villa players is something that I need to sort out. I'm not going to lie. So, I don't know what I'm going to do about that, to be honest. But, look, we've got Ramsdale in goal against Norwich. Good fixture. Hopefully some good points. Leeds, Trent, yeah, come on, you'd back him, but will I back Salah for more points? Probably, so I'll still captain him. James, Villa, good fixture, I think, because Villa have conceded goals, even Gerrard has improved them, but if the Villa game goes ahead, then I think there's hopefully more attacking threat from him. And Rudiger, look, Rudiger's just a set-piece man. Villa conceded set-piece goals, it just makes sense, really. Cancelo is Cancelo at the end. I've thought about the vice-captaincy for this week because of how good he was last week, but, you know, I think there's a chance of clean sheet. I think that if I captain Salah and say, let's just hypothetically say, right, that Liverpool's game is called off. I know it probably won't be because Liverpool and Leeds not too bad in terms of cases, but let's say it is. And then you've got Cancelo. You're relying on Cancelo doing exactly what he did last week. That is a risky one, whereas with Leicester, they can score goals. I don't know. I just think it's not worth it. Now that I've missed the boat, let's not go with Cancelo vice-cap this week. I thought about vice-captaining Bernardo as well, but he's dropped off a little cliff the last couple of game weeks. However, I still have the faith he'll do well, just maybe not enough to vice-captain him. Saka v Norwich, hopefully big points. And as I mentioned, he can haul. I know he can. He's brilliant, and we saw it in the Euros. He was so fantastic. So hopefully against Norwich, come on, this is it. If Norwich, that game is not called off because of Norwich's cases, then yeah, hopefully. Jota v Leeds, come on, Leeds are so leaky, and I remember in that game against Leeds in the reverse fixture, right, Liverpool was so wasteful, Mane was so wasteful, and he didn't give the ball to Jota, right, so give the ball to Jota, let Jota score please, and let's see a big haul from Diogo. I mean, I was saying that, he's been good recently, Jota, and he's just picking up nice returns, 2 in a row now, and obviously he's a bit of a streaky player, Jota. He'll probably go on a run of 2 goals and then consecutive 2 or 3 blanks. So let's hope that the run continues at least. And he's looking a great option with AFCON as well. Salah, it's got to be him against the Leeds. I know Salah's not been brilliant recently. Like, I know he's been pretty solid, right? He's got goals in the last few weeks, but he's not got a double-digit return since Game Week 14. However, it is Leeds. They are in an absolute mess defensively, as we saw against Man City on Tuesday night, and we also saw in the game against Arsenal, I think, defensively, just their shape is absolutely all over the place. And Salah did a hat-trick against Leeds, first game week of last season, so look, it's got to be Mo. It's got to be, really. Bernardo, I just hope he improves, but he did score in the reverse fixture, to be fair to him, against Leicester, and I just think Leicester defensively are quite suspect, so I'm hoping Bernardo does come good this week. Watkins is currently starting, right? I know this is a problem, right, because we don't know about the Villa game and we don't know about Watkins, but look, Chelsea is not even a hard game, I don't think, for Watkins. If he is fit, if he's playing, if the team isn't full of COVID cases, I think Watkins is still very good. As I mentioned, he can score against anyone. He did it last season. But obviously, it's kind of like, well, I'm playing against myself here because I've got James and Rudiger. So it's a win-win, really. If Watkins blanks, hopefully that's a clean sheet for Rudiger and James. If James gets a cheeky goal, Rudiger gets a cheeky goal, Watkins gets a cheeky goal, then I'm winning. And then, of course, if Rudiger and James get no clean sheet, then you'd back a Watkins return, surely. Lacazette, vice-captaincy. The reason behind that is I'm just thinking I'm more confident in the fixture for Lacazette. The form recently for Bernardo has not been great, and I'd say that Saka's not really as much of a streaky in terms of, like, big impact player, in terms of I feel like Lacazette's more likely of a big haul, whereas the fixtures for Rudiger and Cancelo and James this week aren't as good. And obviously, I'm not going to vice captain Trent, just because if I'm captaining Salah, I'm not going to do it from the same team. As I mentioned, it's a risky one with the COVID situation. So the bench, Foster, Manquillo's on the first bench. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, because I think I was trying to work it out in my head. If I had all three the Villa Chelsea players out, then I'd have to work out which formation works, basically. So say James and Rudiger were out of the game, as well as Watkins. Then you've got Manquillo coming on. That'll be a back three. Then you've got Douglas Luiz coming on. Well, no, that doesn't work because he's in the same game. So then I've only got one other auto sub. So that would basically mean that I'm playing a back three. Then I've got 4 in midfield, and then I've got 2 up front. Well, that doesn't work. So that means that Watkins would probably stay on the pitch. So I'd probably be playing a 4-5. No, hang on. 4-3-2. No, what am I even saying? A 4-4-2. No, it can't be a 4-4-2, can it? It's a 3-4-2, sorry. What? No, 3-4-3. 3-4-3, we got there in the end. But that's assuming Watford's game against Wolves even goes ahead. So look, we're trying to work it out mathematically in our head. It's probably not a good way to do it, but the point is, that is our team for this week. Hopefully Laka, he's been a bit wasteful recently, but he's still got the returns that I've wanted, so I'm happy with him. Manquillo, look, he did score v Man United, to be fair, in the reverse fixture, but if he comes off my bench, I'll expect nothing, because he's probably going to not be fit to play. Douglas Luiz, he's bench fodder, and Josh King is third on bench just because, right, Watford have had a recent outbreak, just as with Villa, and that's why Douglas Luiz is second on bench. But then my thinking is, well, if I start Manquillo, then I'll probably have no one come on, if that makes sense. Starting 5 at the back means that, let's say Watkins does play, alright, he comes on, but if he doesn't, then I'll have to kind of skip to Josh King for them to play. So it works, makes more sense in my head, basically. But yeah, that is my team for game week number 19. Do I make a transfer or do I roll? Because the answer is, right, game week 20 is going to be going ahead, which changes our plans. We thought that the fixtures would be worse for some of the teams, like Arsenal, for instance, right? We thought it was going to be, they'd have this game week they'd have against Norwich, and then the game week after that they'd have Man City. But now it's Norwich and Wolves. So you'd argue selling Arsenal is not so much now a priority. With Chelsea as well, that's an interesting one, because obviously Brighton in game week 20 and this game week Villa. But then obviously after Brighton, that's when you want to sell Chelsea players, because they've got Liverpool. And we don't know. I think it might be AFCON that comes in game week 21. So it's a really difficult one. I'll be honest. It is a really difficult one. So I'm probably going to keep Salah, right? But Salah's probably going to have to go soon with AFCON. And Son is very tempting right now. I remember the Southampton game, 4 goals from Son. That's coming up in game 20, I'm just saying. Not superstitious or anything, but I think this week, Liverpool, Salah looks good against Leeds. I think De Bruyne always scores for Man City. Equally, you've got, in that late game, Villa against Chelsea, if it goes ahead, of course, I could back someone like Bertrand Traore, just because this is his former team, but no one's going to be considering him realistically, are they, I suppose. Newcastle United is interesting if it goes ahead, because Ronaldo obviously was that the game that he scored the 2 goals. It was indeed. And obviously, game 20 is a quick turnaround, so I'll probably do a preview in this same video, I suppose, for game 20. I mean, Brentford Man City, I'd imagine that would be a good point for Bernardo, but I don't know, it's hard to do a review of game week 18 and a preview of 20 and 19 all at the same time, because the thing is, right, game week 20 ends on the 30th and then game week 21 starts on the 1st. It's just absolutely a joke how quick turnaround it is. And over New Year, I'm not going to be here, I'll be honest. I'm going to be off in somewhere else. So my point is, I don't know how I'm going to get the content out, but we will find a way, people. Just, I've only got so many hours in the night, and tonight is the night where this is what I'm doing. So, yeah, hope you have enjoyed. I haven't made any transfers, obviously, because, like I said, what I didn't want to do is make the mistake of making a early transfer, and I don't want to get bitten by that again. But in terms of what I'm planning for game week 19, I think probably roll, or one of Diaz, probably Diaz, Son, maybe even Antonio, as I mentioned. Foden could be coming in if I think Foden's going to play another few minutes. He could be a straight swap from Bernardo. And Rudiger, maybe I mentioned he might have to go. And I also could think about Rafinha from Gameweek 20 onwards, because he's in good form and he's got better fixtures now. So those are my options, but obviously there's a lot to ponder with a lot of time to go. I might do a proper Gameweek 19 preview before Christmas, but just because it's so near to Christmas, I thought I'd pack it in here. Gameweek 20, well, that's another difficult one because of the fact it's so close from Boxing Day. But look, it's a midweek games. I'll probably just I might even bring in a Palace player, to be fair, ahead of Norwich, because then after that they got West Ham and Brighton, some good fixtures for the Eagles, and I'll probably be getting back Gallagher. You know what that love story is like, the off, on, it's like Romeo and Juliet. I love him and I hate him. I don't know, Gallagher is just frustrating. But anyway, that is my preview done. I hope you have enjoyed, or at least part one of the preview. We'll find out. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.